For starters, one of the main reasons why I bought this camera is that I've always dreamed about having a Red camera. I remember when I first started filmmaking, we were shooting on like camcorders, and then we upgraded to the Canon 5D Mark II. I remember watching Red cameras on big productions, and I was just blown away by the image. Numerous feature films were shot on Red, and for me to work with a Red camera, it now feels more like cinema to me. Now the Red Komodo X is amazing. I have worked with that camera before, and I definitely was thinking about getting one of those, but I got a perfectly used Komodo 6K deal. I'm talking about very, very affordable, very cheap, and it was just hard for me to pass up. The main selling part for why I bought the Komodo is the image quality. Red claims it has 16 stops of dynamic range. I'm pretty sure it does. The Canon C70 has amazing dynamic range, but there's something about the Red image that just makes it stand out a little bit more. But when you shoot Red raw on the Komodo, that 16-bit color allows you to do so much more to the image and pushing and pulling the image in so many ways. In a lot of ways, you are gaining a Red image, but you are sacrificing like higher frame rates and more functionality in terms of a camera, but the image is what matters the most for me. To start my build, I paired the Komodo with the Tilta full camera cage. I love the red accents of this cage and the multiple mounting points on the cage. I didn't pair this cage with the top handle that Tilta sells, as I found that top handle a little bit too tall, but I love the build quality of this cage, and I love the fact that it has all these different mounting points, and it just kind of fits on the Red to a point where it almost looks like it was built like from Red. So I really like the way this camera cage fits on the Komodo. I think having a cage on a camera is important, just especially if you're gonna spend so much money on a cinema camera. You might want to put something on it to protect it. I'm very clumsy, so I've already dropped a lot of my cameras in the past. And you want something that if you do drop it or it falls out of a bag, that you can have a little bit of protection, even though it probably won't completely protect it. The next part of my rig, which I contemplated not purchasing because it's very expensive, was the Red Komodo outrigger side handle, which retails at $500. But I was lucky enough to pick one used for about $200. I'm glad because I find it very comfortable. It allows me to start and stop, recording with my thumb. It fits really well on the Red Komodo. I really like the way this side handle works and how it integrates into the Red Komodo. The next part of my rig allows for auto and manual focusing on cinema lenses, but it also gives the rig more of a balance on the left side of the camera rig, and that is the DJI Focus Pro. It has a handle that allows you to focus on the little trigger. You can go through the menu. You can also see a preview of what the LiDAR is actually focusing on the side handle. When I first started out filmmaking, reliable autofocus on our cameras was something that was not there, so you had to manual focus. I remember being blown away by face tracking autofocus, and I still love face tracking autofocus and autofocus on my Canon cameras and Sony cameras. But this device allows you to pretty much have autofocus on any lens. I have some vintage lenses. It allows me to put autofocus on those. It's not perfect. It takes a little bit of troubleshooting to get the LiDAR, working, to, calibrate it for your lenses. The LiDAR positioning I find is a little weird. Like, it's hard to get it as close to the lens. I'm trying different ways to kind of make that work. But I'm very impressed with this device. I'd say it gets you there about 75–80% of the way. If you're enjoying the music on this video, I recently collaborated with Audiio.com and they offered me a deal to share with my subscribers. Audiio.com is a music and sound effects licensing company with awesome tracks and artists for any of your creative needs. They're budget friendly too. You can get 70% off your first year with the code in the description below. One of the standout features of Audiio.com is their link match AI tool, which allows you to paste a song link into their site, and Audiio.com will find a similar song through their library that kind of matches your vibe. I think Audiio.com covers all the bases for creators, and I am really excited to partner with them. Speaking of Matte Box, the Red Komodo does not have built-in indies, which is a big bummer for me because I'm spoiled. I use built-in indies on my Canon C70, Canon C200. I work, my corporate job, we use Sony FX6s, and I am spoiled with the built-in indies on those. Now, one of the quick workarounds would be for this camera, because it is RF mount, is to use a RF to EF adapter with indies inside. I'm trying to make the Red Komodo more of a full frame camera, so I'm actually using the Canon speed booster to make it more full frame. This is where I stumbled on the small rig matte box, and I really like it so far. It has a variable ND, a lens cover, it comes in a really nice case. The little lens cover for the variable ND is like magnetic. I really like the build quality of this, this matte box. It's a little tricky when you attach it to the lens. You got to kind of figure out how to do it. It kind of goes into the filter threads on the lens, so it's a little tricky, but I do like this matte box. My only issue with this is if you dial the variable ND a little bit too higher, like to the higher strengths, you'll get vignetting and a color shift, but that happens with most variable NDs inside the matte box category. Now, to complement my cinema camera, I started building up my cinema lens kit, and I am very happy with the lenses I bought. I picked up the DZO Baseplate primes, specifically the 25mm, the 35mm, and the 50mm, and I love these lenses. Now, I couldn't justify buying the ARLs just because of the cost, even though I know these lenses are better. I just couldn't justify the $2,000 price tag for one ARL's lens compared to what I was actually doing for these, where I actually bought them used, and I think I spent like $700 per lens. So I think the Baseplate primes are a better bang for your buck. I also like the fact that the Baseplate primes are smaller and they're a little bit more compact. So if I put them on a gimbal or if I do different handheld work, it's not as heavy. And I also love the fact that with the cinema lenses, you have the focus marks and the focus gears and the aperture gears relatively in the same spot. So it makes it easy for you to change lenses and do what you need to do without having to calibrate your focus system and stuff like that. So I really like that. Now, the Komodo can run off Canon BP955 batteries, but when you're shooting a cinema camera, you're gonna want a more professional and longer lasting solution. I already have a lot of V-mount batteries from different brands, my favorite being the Hypercore Neos, and also I've been really into the small rig V-mount batteries, but I needed a compact and cableless solution to power my camera. And that's when I got the Core SWX battery plate, which I think is really dope. It integrates seamlessly with the back of the camera, and it has both a D-tap out and a USB out. It's expensive, but well worth it. So I really like that battery plate for the Red Komodo. A lot of the times I change my settings using the top screen of the Komodo, but I wanted a monitor that would help me nail focus and composition, but also something that could control the Red camera and allow me to not have to always just go through the little screen, because it's a really little screen on the top. And that's where I stumbled on the Portkeys BM5 monitor that also has Red camera control. I got it used, really good deal on this monitor, and so far I really like it. It's not the brightest monitor, but it has really great features like false color, peaking, LUTs, and the Red camera control, so you can change your aperture, change your frame rate, shutter speed, white balance. It's a lot of cool things that you can do really easily on there. And the way I mount it is I actually mount it using NATO rails, and I use a small rig top handle, and I use also a small rigs. It's like a swivel monitor mount that I put on top. So I really like the way this pairs well with the Komodo 6K. And if anything, if I ever upgrade it, it'll probably just be a bigger, larger BM5 or BM7 monitor for this setup. Now for the base plate, I used the Condor Blue 501. I really like the way this base plate looks. It's sleek, it's black, it's like matte. It's like a matte black. I really like the way this base plate looks. Good job, Condor Blue. The base plate has 15mm rods that are from Small Rig, and I just have like a Manfrotto tripod release plate on it. Just makes it easy. I actually realized that I don't shoot enough on tripods unless I'm like interviewing or like doing static, establishing shots. I need to work on that. I really like the Condor Blue base plate, and I think it really ties in the rig together. Now that's all I have to say about my Red Komodo rig. Let me know if you have any questions about photography or videography in the comments below, and I will see you next time. Peace.